Right on.
Is this the first Star Wars with tits?
Was there tits in this?
Oh, yeah. There were tits.
There were 4 of them.
What tits?
You don't remember?
The fucking sloppy cow sloth.
Daisy Ridley?
Come on.
I remember.
Oh,
Mark
that's
Hamill.
You remember that shot where Mark Hamill sits on the edge of the cliff and just takes out his 4 sloppy boobs?
These 4 tits didn't scare me when I saw them before. They do now.
This isn't even more absurd by any wide margin than the actual fucking scene where...
Yeah. Well, it's the pan.
I've seen your everyday routine.
You're not busy. It's
You
like
fish.
You saw a truncated version of what I do with that big old anteater bitch. Like, you don't even...
Oh, it gets busy.
The jar was for your courtesy. That's usually not involved.
Fucking moron.
Welcome.
Wasn't that great?
Yeah, I was feeling it. I was grooving.
Just for the record, what was your favorite part of the theme song?
Oh, you know the one.
Yeah, but just because I made the song, so I just want to hear from you what.
Oh, you made the song.
Yeah. Just what was your favorite?
I don't like it then.
Oh, son of a bitch!
I like what you're doing right now.
Baby beef.
It could be anything.
So much.
I didn't hear the song.
You're
for
gonna
the
love
Lyle
when
fucking sucks every day.
Yeah, that was-
Captain suck me off. He's the king of being bad. Welcome to Reasonable Beef.
You know, when I said you can use the term captain suck off, I didn't think it would be used against me.
Oh, what else was I going to call you?
Okay, that's fair.
Welcome to Reasonable Beef. My name is Tim Kish. I am your lovely host, and I'm joined today by my usual guy.
it's me, the Dom.
And who's our third chair guest?
Hey, my name is Jeffrey Ames.
Tambor.
Tambor.
Yeah, I'm an author. I'm working on my third book. It's called The Jeffrey Ames Experience, a sequel to The Jeffrey Ames Addendum. And hello, my name is Laura Amy.
Why would the addendum come before the book?
He's a very.
Hey, this is coming out in
didn't think-
October. I just want to let you know I fucked up all these things.
I didn't think I'd make it to 3. No, I'm Lyle. I go by Lyle McDouchebag online, at least for the time being.
Yeah, you want to like rebrand or something. We'll talk about that at the end. Who gives a fuck? I don't care
doesn't
about you.
matter. I haven't done it yet. Let's just say that.
Is
Let's
Jeffrey
just say
Ames
that
a person?
No, maybe.
This is just a character?
It could be someone listening to this right now that I just freaked the fuck out. I actually, now you got me paranoid. I hope I didn't like sort of just brain osmosis an actual person out there.
We've done that a couple times. I feel like in an episode last year we did stop it, Todd.
Yeah.
It's just like for
Hopefully,
anyone
fingers
named
crossed.
Todd. Yeah, Lyle McDouchebag, our lovely. He's handsome. He's tall.
Thanks, man.
He's got
Yeah.
tattoos.
It's true.
I didn't
Yeah, I
expect
do
you to be
like
this
your arm
cool.
tattoos.
I didn't
They're
think
really
that you would look cool.
Oh,
I was hoping you'd
You a
look
little bit
I
intimidated?
just thought it would be your avatar.
yeah,
with
you're
like a
slouching
body.
pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
He's
Slouching?
alphaing the
Really?
shit out of you.
Is that just as tall as
I'm a
you are?
C.
Damn.
Cuck me more. Hey, welcome. We saw fucking Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Star Wars, yeah.
I was ready. What'd you do? Like everyone, because everyone's like holding their breath when it comes up a long time ago in Galaxy Far, Far Away, and it's just not the Star Wars theme for the first one ever. It just starts off and it's playing like fucking Our House.
And as the thing scrolls down.
What the hell is this? They weren't kidding. He really did take this in a different direction.
Yeah, different direction. It seems to be the word that I hear a lot about this thing.
Yes.
And that direction was straight to hell.
No, come on now.
Directly downward
No,
into
come
a
on.
pit of bad movie.
Oh, you think so?
No,
this
Tim
reasonable
just
beef.
sometimes likes to, just for the sake of the conversation, to plant his feet firmly and like it was terrible.
Fuck you.
Just to-
Hyperbole.
yeah,
Let's
just
go.
to get people to defend things.
Well, like, get him off the hook. There's somebody going like, this guy, let's see what he has to say. And they stick around.
I mean, you could devil's advocate the whole, they ruined the Star Wars this whole podcast if we're not.
All right, well, yeah.
Well, we take issue with everything. That's the best part about this reasonable beef. Our beef is with everything. That's the unsaid truth of this podcast. Is we're never happy with anything.
Nope.
And everyone who agrees with us, we have a problem with how they said it, and who disagrees with us, we disagree with them.
Good.
I'm a man
Okay.
without a country. It's exactly how I am politically. Whatever. So Star Wars, the Last Jedi,
The forced Jedi.
The Forced Awakening, or as I call it, Snore Wars, The Last Jedi. I wasn't a big fan of this flick.
You thought of that one before you even saw the movie, didn't you?
did.
You-
I was sitting there going, what am I going to say?
Can't wait to be bored.
Started off, so this came out, this is the second one in the new trilogy, and it's directed by Ryan Johnson,
Yes.
who has been given a 3-movie deal with Disney. Did that
Yes.
be confirmed? Was that confirmed?
Yeah, he's heading the new
Right,
new
the
trilogy.
new trilogy, which is the non-Star Wars trilogy.
It's gonna be
non-Star Wars, the non-Skywalker-esque.
Yes.
And I think that there's definitely his contempt for the Star Wars or fucking Skywalker. See, it's so funny that I get those two confused. But the Skywalker storyline kind of shines through.
I take issue with you even using the word contempt. I don't think that's what it is.
Sure, it's not a contempt, but it's not even a lack of reverence. I think it's a sense of perspective where they're not quite the most important thing in the galaxy far, far away, which I kind of dig that sentiment.
I dig that sentiment as well.
Yeah, no, I like that too. I think it's kind of punk rock, but I see why people are mad about it.
But that's what's funny is
I loved it personally. Let me just put this right out front. I'm not like a Star Wars guy, so the perspective that everything that I say is coming from is for someone that's like, fuck it, deconstruct the thing, dude, it interests me,
right?
And I feel like this movie did that very well.
I would say I am a Star Wars guy. I resisted it for a long time. But then I woke up one day and realized that I've read 9 of the expanded universe books and I've seen everything involved in the franchise. I'm like,
you watch fucking Rebels.
I guess I like Star Wars, yeah. And so and with Rebels, I really discovered a new love for this new universe that they're establishing, right? Because they killed all the other continuities. Right. This is the new. There's only 3 things involved now. It's Clone Wars, Rebels, and then the flagship movies and Rogue One. That's the only thing that's canon now.
Flap shit movies.
The flap shit, or as I call them,
the flap shit movies.
Yeah.
Something that frustrates me in this conversation that's surrounding the movie, and I guess I'll say too up front, there are broad strokes of this that I fucking love. Mm-hmm. I love things. I had none of my problems with it were the precious, you made Luke do that? You made him squirt milk out of booby?
Right.
That's not, I don't care. It's not like a precious character thing that I have. I have larger movie things that I think are weird about it.
Sure.
I think there's things about how it's written and the way that it was.
There are some straight up moments in this movie that don't work. And there's also just some scenes that are kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a grape shot good time, really, right? Where they shoot a million things at you at once and hopefully something sticks. There's 6 storylines.
I will say though that it actually gave, because one of my problems with The Force Awakens is it's this movie that's got a lot of non-direction. I've got a buddy that describes J.J. Abrams' filmmaking as insecure, which is I think the best way to put it, where it's if I never say anything or do anything, meaningful or interesting, nobody can say I did the wrong thing. So it's I felt like The Force Awakens was very there were no risks in that movie.
I see what you're saying, and we had an interesting conversation about Spielbergianism earlier, which I think JJ is definitely the student of, and I think that what you're describing is his way that he makes a movie that he thinks is good, where it's not necessarily not taking risks. But just what he's doing is
he doesn't want to answer everything,
right?
And that's cool. I like.
Yeah, it's this is the story. We're not trying to blow your mind. We want to entertain you and tell you the story. And he's very commercial and artistic in that way, and that's something I appreciate him for. Especially with Super 8.
think though, like I think even The Force Awakens gets this weird. I don't understand. Like that's what's funny is to me this was there was so much stuff going on and people are, and this is why
It's too directionful.
It was exactly, and I feel so out of the loop with everybody who really connected to that. It's like it put its feet down. It decided this is what this is going to be,
Right.
and they feel like The Force Awakens didn't do that. But this was like. I was so confused when I left this. Like
Yeah.
I didn't.
Really?
What is it? Yeah.
Same.
What exactly are we doing? What's the full?
Well,
like
let me ask you a question. Who's the protagonist of this? Rey was 100% the protagonist of the last movie. Who's the protagonist of this movie?
I mean, it was kind of scattershot. There were a few, but
Right.
mostly Rey. I mean, they kind of established Poe as more of a thing. I think the bigger thing that they actually took their stance on was they killed. Or we're like well into spoilers, right?
Yeah, we're gonna
it's
spoil.
100%
yeah.
spoilers
They
show.
they fucking killed off Snoke, and like
Yes.
I think that it's a good way to do that, because you're more interested in Kylo Ren anyway.
Right.
Like if Snoke is the big bad guy the whole time, well then he's just the Emperor. You know?
I love
Yeah.
killing Snow. Those are the things
yeah.
I'm into.
I love killing Snoke. I do it 100 times.
I do it all the
in a row if
time. I
could.
do it all the time. No, I like those things, but there's something. I think so. Maybe like my big mission or what's the word when you're like.
So I mean, what confused you about it? Like where.
I think it was hypocritical. I think that there was things where it and I keep saying this every time I'm talking with people about it. I think it wanted to have its cake and eat it too.
See, that's what I would say The Force Awakens did. But you go.
Well,
Yeah, that's why this is so
justify.
fascinating
on.
to me because I think The Force Awakens has a very you feel the certainty of the hand behind it,
agree.
and I know that what the hand is up to is weaving a spell of mystery and a lot of questions that we're going to raise. And I think another thing that frustrates me is I just watched The Force Awakens the other day, and this kind of takes pains to smash away things that the other one set up. And
I
it's
agree.
like, we didn't have enough time where this feels super subversive to me. And that's what people keep saying. It's subverting your expectations for what it was going to be. I'm not disappointed that it didn't go how I thought it was going to go. I find it a weird directional choice to one movie later say, you know what, actually, fuck all that stuff. He throws the saber away immediately.
Right.
And that's like the flag being waved of, this isn't what we just set up. This isn't going to be the
Right.
movie you just watched.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I like that
But
conceptually.
I do too, but like I feel like it happens consistently where the answers to the questions are not super satisfying.
Well,
Which,
it's,
I mean, it's
and
fine.
I like I like
There's-
Snoke dying. That's an answer.
There's one that I've seen people get mad about that I fucking loved, and that's when the movie answers the question of who are Rey's parents.
I love that.
I love that where it's just like who cares who your parents
No,
are?
that's a great answer.
Like there's someone I know was mad about that, and I was like, can you think, like, given the breadth of Star Wars characters that could meaningfully be related to Rey, is there like a satisfying answer to that? Because that doesn't come across
Not
as
really.
completely contrived or fucking corny as
Yes,
shit.
and
Like
why
all of
in
the,
all of the galaxy is everything tied back to these 10 people?
yeah, and that's honestly like one of my problems with Star Wars in general. Even like the original trilogy, like if we're going like all the way back to it, I find it stupid that Leia and Luke
Right.
are brother and sister.
I dig it, but that
Like-
also
Yeah.
it kind of gives credence to the Mary Sue argument for Rey, where
I
it's
mean,
like, she's actually just she's nobody, and now she's the number one best guy. Who's
No,
hanging out
I
with all
think
these
it would be
people.
more of a Mary Sue argument if she was Luke's daughter. If it was like, oh, you're my daughter and I shall train you and then you will be.
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
get it, and it's funny. So like, I didn't see the Mary Sue thing with Rey in the first movie. It's sometimes I kind of saw it in this. Like, I'm
I think
I'm
in
starting to
the
feel
first
it.
movie, she almost wasn't a Mary Sue. She almost like she seemed sort of overcooked. Is kind of like there are scenes in that movie that if you took them out, Rey would be a stronger character. Like I have no idea if you put that character in a scenario, in any given scenario, how she would react.
Well, let me put it to you this way.
Interesting.
I read the novelization of The Force Awakens. I'm going to read the novelization of this one. Rey's dark as hell in the novelizations. Like in that first scene where Onkar Plot which is my favorite word to say.
He's great.
When he offers to buy BB-8, she does it immediately. She says yes, like right away. And then she starts to take the credits, and then I guess the first order interrupts or whatever, and then they got to run. Where she is a scavenger, she does what she can to survive, and her hint towards the dark side is way better established, that she does have a dark streak to her.
So this is only in the novelization, not the movie,
because in the
I don't
movie,
remember
Daisy
that
Ridley's like
at
the
all.
number one best, nicest gal in the entire galaxy, which
exactly.
is fine.
And it's like, okay, in The Force Awakens, is Rey brave and does she have a sense of duty? Because everything she says would indicate yes, but then there's that scene where she touches a lightsaber immediately after telling Finn, you've got to have duty and you got to stand for something, and then she like runs off. If you take that scene out, you have a little bit more of like a clear, okay, this character is at least like, you have some like finite character traits.
Sure.
But yeah, there's certain, she's just all over the place. Like,
I think that there's we're circling around. I think also what is still my problem with subverting entirely what it feels like The Force Awakens is setting up, because it's like, and it feels like, and it's weird to say this about how precious they're being about Star Wars and about the direction. It feels like there's a lack of direction from stuff. How did you start that first movie if this whole, like, I love the answer of Rey's parents not being anyone.
Right.
Yeah.
However, there is pretty much you could almost say the entire first movie directly lies to you that that's what that's going to be. With Maz saying, who is the girl? Like, why would she says it that way as if this is someone, isn't she? And even her in this movie, they're playing up this, which I'm fine with it in the actual movie where they reveal that that's not what it is, but they play up all the time that she knows who her parents are, and it's someone who we're gonna know or whatever, right? And that's cool. Point being, if in the first one you were more, and I almost feel like your watch on Force Awakens could be stronger now, knowing that she kind of knows her parents aren't anybody. Because now you think
she was a clone of Obi-Wan.
I don't think Abrams had the answer to that question when he wrote that. I think he had that set up to be like, oh, it could be whoever.
Right, but it's not like Abrams wasn't in all of these meetings, and like, you know, it's for them to make a movie where yes, do set up the mystere and not answer the questions.
One of the reasons I kind of like this movie is I'm so cynical that previous to this, what I thought that they were going to do is they were going to put that question out there and then just like look on the internet and see what like the most like obscure, interesting thing would be to do with that, and just be like, oh yeah, we'll do that. And I feel like that they saw the fan theories. It's like, is Rey a Kenobi? Is Rey Luke's daughter? And they were like, oh my God, these are all shit. They're fucking nobody.
But can you I saw somebody saying like fan theories ruin this movie, where people's expectations of what would happen or could happen is like really why people lost their minds. But it's like, that silly. It is silly, but it's also the fault of The Force Awakens for A, raising those questions, and B, like, can you fault fans for looking at the pieces that you've already set up, that we have in the prequels, that we have in the mainline movies, and just try to kind of assemble them into where they would logically move forward? I think Rey being a female clone of Obi-Wan Kenobi from the time on Geonosis makes perfect fucking sense. That's what it was, right? Geonosis, right? Doesn't even.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about either.
The facility where they made all the Boba Fett clones? Or
so
the Jabba Fett
tying
clones?
it back to the prequel movies is the logical thing to do that everyone would love.
They happen though, and they talk about how the line of Skywalker and how important Anakin Skywalker is. I don't blame people for doing that.
I don't blame people either, but I think we should not exacerbate this thing of just because it wasn't what you thought that's wrong, because that's where that's the wrong side to be on.
Most of the negative comes from,
and they're wrong, and you're wrong. You shouldn't. That shouldn't be your. You're allowed to be like, well, I think what they did do was clunky or weird, because that's more my side of it. But I'm not like just taking issue with that. You know, she wasn't fucking Luke's kid or whatever. Even though I was pretty goddamn sure they were just gonna frame one be like. Dad?
Yeah.
I think the fact that they were like literally nobody at least gives that character like an element of grit that makes her kind of interesting.
It's super cool. It's a very cool thing. That's a cool reveal. I mean, and I love that interaction between the two of them, because that is so drilling in the fact. I love that he literally says, you have no place in this story.
Right.
You're no one. You're no one from nowhere. And that's dope. And I know a lot of people are making the argument that there's this big overarching, like I know I read the Film Crit Hulk one, that a huge part of this movie is like that the Force belongs to everyone and that you don't just have, and I'm going to go back to my cake and eat it too thing, or my hypocritical thing, because that is in it, right? There is this point of like the small people matter and it's these smaller stories matter, and Rose ends up saying like, we're going to protect what we love, not fight what we hate. I get all of that, but there's so much going on that it's impossible for it to not feel contradictive at some point.
Sure, absolutely.
It's the breadth of, and I will say I love Luke's whole arc, and I think Luke has like, it's pretty much his movie. I like the realization he comes to, but there's something weird about the movie's philosophy feeling like it's about that the Jedi must end and that we need to kill the past and forget about all that stuff. But it does end up, what's the final solution is like, Luke is gone, but that's okay because we got this other best Jedi now. She's great now, so it doesn't matter.
Not to defend the inclusion of children or the real world. I mean, if it was up to me, they would all be, corralled into a pen and we'd release them when they were 18. But there is that shot at the very end where there's like the little kid and he uses the Force. And I think that the movie's overall philosophy was just like, yeah, the Force isn't this like, oh, only a Skywalker can use it or only a Jedi can use it. Like it's a little more freeform. You can kind of bring, now you don't have to have a Jedi to bring a character into the story that uses the Force, and it doesn't have to be like.
I understand that, but did we need to make that point? Like, did we need to get there? Because
I feel like with and this is part of the reason why I'm not a Star Wars guy. Is Star Wars is very much that,
right?
It's very like, oh, you're related to him. Like it's that's like actually one of the traits that I don't like about it is that everybody's got to be related to everybody or have some past with this and that and the other person. And it's like, we're dealing with sci-fi here. It's like, what are the chances that two people on the same planet are ever gonna like come across each other, yet let alone like the whole galaxy? So I like widening the scope of characters that you could potentially bring in.
I think you're splitting hairs by establishing, like saying, hey, there is still a light side, there is still a dark side of the Force, but this person is a Jedi and this person is a Sith. It's like, well, let's get rid of labels. It's like, okay, but what? They're still ostensibly Jedi and Sith, right? They use the light.
I'm not even saying like the labels of like good guy, bad guy. I'm just saying
that's what I'm saying. That this movie is doing.
I guess the movie was kind of what you would kind of assume from the Star Wars universe is the only way that there's going to be Jedis moving forward is if Luke trains them, because he's the last Jedi or whatever.
But he says, but then he goes, I won't
specifically.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of, I think, the statement that it's trying to make is like, okay, you don't need to be like this one special thing to use the Force. Like there can be other characters that do that.
I think maybe I'm realizing in this conversation that a part of what wasn't connecting for me is that I didn't need to be taught the lesson of that we need to let go of Luke Skywalker and Leia, and like that this is going to be a new thing now, because we're in the second movie of 3.
Right, we've already done
I
that.
Get it. I know that we're moving on already.
But I mean, the first movie very much, I thought, didn't move on. The first movie, I would say, tries to have its cake and eat it, where it's like, so Han Solo, I think the first movie would have been much better if he just wasn't fucking.
I completely disagree.
No, let me explain myself here. So Han Solo, I thought, was especially annoying because he kind of just stood around like making references and homages and stuff to previous Star Wars films. And maybe if you're like a big Star Wars fan, you like that. But to me, I go into this movie and I'm not really a Star Wars fan, and I don't want to have to like know that to enjoy it. So it was very like, we're passing the torch, but we're also, you got to definitely care about the old stuff too, and it still plays a big factor in this or that or the other. Like by the time it was like near the movie and he's like, do they got a garbage compactor? And then that fucking silver girl Nazi character is just gone. By the way, she's 2 for 2 on being completely Nazi. Fucking useless in both of those movies. That character is
Phasma.
Yeah.
We'll get into Phasma. But I want to address that real fast because, I think that the brilliant part about Han Solo is that not that he was referencing the older movies, which I do agree that he does do that sometimes. And that was a lot of people's big criticism of like, this dwells a lot on the original trilogy and relies a lot on them instead of being its own thing. But I think the fascinating thing that Han Solo did was make reference to things that haven't happened in the other Star Wars movies. He talks about like just various adventures that he's gone on in the presumably like 40 years since all that other shit happened, which I think is great because that takes the Star Wars universe and expands it a lot. Like he's had this whole life and adventure, and like life has moved on beyond them in the span of that movie
but
to this
if
movie.
you're going to expand the universe and make it feel like real and lived in, then why is it Han Solo that's saving the day again? You know?
Here's the problem. Here's my problem, though, is that I
like him too.
I don't think The Force Awakens was making a point that you need to kill the past.
Right.
This movie
No.
was. The Force Awakens was a sequel to the fucking Return of the Jedi, so they were like, everybody still cares about Luke and Han and Leia.
Right.
We want to see them again. I want to see
agree.
them show up again. So that as a sequel to those movies, totally makes sense that they're in it. But in this one, when you're drilling in, forget everything. It also feels like a weird fuck you to the movie again. I'm just having such
I'm not
disconnect.
disagreeing with you. I just like that rather than dislike it.
right.
Bad guy.
There's
That's what I'm saying.
Poe Dameron, and that's actually like a whole plot line that I thought was kind of didn't fucking work. That's
maybe my biggest problem.
versus the like
Structure of an
old lady. Yeah.
General Holdo, right?
Yeah. So there's
sucks.
this fucking infuriating scene where Poe Dameron is like, what is your goddamn plan? And she says something, I don't remember exactly what she says. It's like absence of evidence is an evidence of absence. Is like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then she's like, oh yeah, he sees that she's like fueling up these like escape ships, and he's like, if we fucking go out in these, they're just gonna blow them the hell up, and we're just gonna be adrift and not make it anywhere. And then she says that, and it's like, then he pulls a mutiny, and then the movie goes, he was wrong for pulling the mutiny. He should have trusted her. It's like, he literally asked her what her fucking answer was and said her plan wouldn't work. And then the movie's big point was he should have just trusted her on it.
Right. And
it was
it's like the first time he talks to her when he shows up on the deck of the ship, whatever they call it. This is after he has just made a huge mistake in the beginning of the movie.
Right.
So she's talking to him with the understanding of, oh, you think you're hot shit. I don't have to tell you anything, and get the hell away from me. I get that there. I understand that in the beginning.
Right.
But then once it comes down to like, hey, so fucking what are we doing? I'm scared.
Yeah,
People left.
and then he's like, I see you're doing a thing that's not working. Why do you think that this is going to work? And then for her to not answer that question,
She literally could have said it right there.
I almost think that's like a rewrite or something. Like that character, I think, might have had a change of heart originally and just like been a little more of an antagonistic force.
Maybe. I don't know, man. It's weird because like I don't know.
I mean, even if it was just like Carrie Fisher's plan initially, and she maybe didn't know what she was doing, and she was like, I don't know. She just told me to do this, and I'm trusting her because she's in a coma at that point. That would make a little more sense,
Right.
Because then it's
There's a
like,
benefit
okay,
of the doubt.
I'm putting faith in something. Like I'm not withholding information, but the whole, I don't know.
Yeah.
For the movie to kind of turn it around and being like, this guy needs to be
It's a
taught
rom-com.
a lesson.
I
and
loved
it's-
Poe in the first movie, right? I was really into him, and this movie made me dislike him a lot. So it's specifically for those reasons where
I feel like the movie,
yes,
like,
she could have told him, right? She could have realized his story. But this is a guy who has defied orders 3 times in a row at this point and has in fact fucked up every single thing that has gone wrong for the rebels. Like, it was his plan that, like, yes, they took down the Star Destroyer, but they lost a shitload of their people, right? And the fact that Finn and this girl were on that ship is why the escape ships got tracked and got destroyed. He should have been like, in real life, he should have been executed and court-martialed.
Yeah, he said that was going to happen, though, in a scene before that. Like, he
was like, they're going to shoot them down, but they were cloaked, remember?
Yeah,
and it wouldn't have happened.
But he didn't know that planet was there.
Yeah.
She didn't tell him that planet was there. That was the whole thing, is Carrie Fisher.
Right, and he's
then
breaking orders and doing whatever the fuck he wants, and then no consequences come to him.
That's more the problem.
He has caused all the issues. He's an insane person.
But that's the more. But then if the movie really put its foot down and was like, Poe, like, what have you done?
Yeah,
Right.
if it went the other direction with it too, where they did want, but like the way that the movie sets it up is everything that he does is like a little more or less justified. And I kind of felt myself like with him when the movie was like, no, he's very wrong. And it's like,
Well, you could have just told him, right? You could have just
yeah,
said,
exactly.
You could have
It's
just said, don't,
he's like,
hey, wait.
What your plan is to just set us adrift in space? And she could have gone, no, there's a fucking planet there. That it would have just ended that.
Right.
But
Right.
Right, but he's also like, he's a soldier, right? And he's in this army, and he trusts General Organa. And then this he gets demoted, and he should have been the guy, but because he was demoted, he wasn't the guy.
But
I
they're
guess.
not playing like.
to me, it came off as entirely as hubris the whole time.
Okay,
How he thinks he's the number one
even
best
if
guy.
it is, when he mutinies and they're pointing guns at her, she could have just been like, okay, there's a fucking planet there. Can you stop? And he'd be like, oh, okay. Right? Like,
right, and then he's standing there with a gun pointed at the lady,
you know what?
and then
I
it's
guess
like,
that is so.
Fuck, I'm still.
That is true. There's things she could have done. He is still an asshole, and he's still made
I'm
much
not
bad
arguing
decisions.
that
But you're
he's-
right. They're at that point that could have diffused the whole thing.
yeah.
And that's a weird for a huge part of if not the hugest part of your movie, like that's the main chase of the movie, right? Like that's the thing is that the resistance is cornered and this is it. It's only them left, and if this ship blows up, they're all gone forever.
Right.
Somehow, though, they took that, which should be very exciting, and it should feel like this constant chase that they're in.
Yeah.
And it felt like this. It was literally like they
like a
say it's a
drag.
waiting game. They literally they made the point of, and I said this earlier, but like that to me, this is the difference, and this is why I would say again, I think the choices that the movie made, the plot, the ideas. I think I agree with across the fucking board. I think I love everything new that it wanted to be. I love where it was pulling the switch track. But I think there's something about the execution that felt, again, like it's this hypocritical thing or whatever. Like, or if your whole movie's the rebels being chased, why take the time for Hux to like very boringly? It felt like in a first draft where you're justifying things that you're like, I know that this just needs to happen, and you're kind of overwriting because you don't know exactly, you don't know the elegant way to say it. Whereas he literally could have just said, "Follow them," and then if the whole movie was like he's angry in the ship and they can't catch up because the thing's faster, sweet, that's a chase. But they literally they take the moment for him to go, "Ha. I know what we'll do.
I was an idiot on purpose.
Let's just
I
be
meant
slow."
to pee myself.
But it just they take times for people to explain things 100 times.
Right.
Did you guys feel like it
several
took a
times.
little bit of the tension out of this like big like standoff chase like waiting game that Finn and Rose could just leave and go to a space Monaco to meet a guy
that was
who's,
funny. You gotta
who's
go
walking
there.
here, and you know he's fucking.
It was such
Who's
a
walking here?
Yeah, the guy who's walking here.
What are you talking about? He's Benicio del Toro.
But he's walking here.
he was walking there.
I
You
guess
gotta
that's
admit.
true.
No,
I don't
he
understand his bit, but I agree.
The stuttering paisano. He's walking here.
You thought he was Italian? Benicio del Toro.
He sounded
He
like he
sounds
was
like
doing like
New
an
York- no,
He
was
had like a stutter. He's like, I unlocked the things. I do it for the money.
Don't judge the rapper, friend.
I can
So you guys are both doing like a New York Italian
Yeah.
accent.
That's just our accent. We just don't know the difference.
Yeah, no, that's how I talk. What are you talking about? I'm
fucking talking
I'm
about?
talking like an American.
All right. I want to, while we're on the, because while I'm
about
on this
jokes?
dialogue thing, this was another thing that I think is, and it's me. I try to look past this, and I'm trying to just give the movie the benefit of the doubt for what it was up to. But those things got in the way so much for me with my
things?
enjoyment of over explaining a thing, saying the same thing twice.
Yeah.
They tracked us out of they tracked us in hyperspeed. They tracked us in hyperspeed. That means they have a way to track us in hyperspeed. Well, wait. So if they can track us, how do they do that? Because we're in hyperspeed, and I'm like, fucking, who cares? I get it. Just
It's a device. There's something.
and they did that so much where it was like I wasn't asking you to explain that to me, man.
Right.
I didn't need you to go over why that.
Yeah, there's about 30 extra minutes
Mattered.
of footage in this
Yeah,
movie.
and
that
the
doesn't
first
need to be
act
there.
I think dragged a
and
little bit.
fucking her Ray with like you could boil. There's the conversation with, and I understand that maybe if it was, I don't know if it's a directing thing just in that moment or if it's just a writing thing of the scene. But when he's in the cave with Ray, and I like what the scene's doing because when I was watching it and I still didn't know who her parents were, I wanted these answers too. But they go back and forth like too many times of Luke saying, "Why you?
Yeah.
Why did they send you?" And she's
Or
like,
why are you
the
here?
resistance sent me. Yeah, but why is it you? Because of the resistance. So, but like you, why did they send you? And I'm like, fucking just move on. I don't care. Or when she feels the need, and I know this sounds like such nitpicky, but I feel like it's a symptom of a larger thing that was rubbing me wrong the whole movie. When she comes out of the Force talk with Kylo and she goes, just then, when I touched when I touched his hand, I saw a vision from because his hand, when he reached it out, I just touched it and then I saw the future. And then that would be enough in the confrontation moment with Luke, right? And then when she's with Kylo, she looks at him and goes, when we talked and I hear hand, remember because you reached out and I touched your hand, I saw your future.
Well, she does the same thing with the line of like, General Leia sent me and I am here for the resistance and I need to help you. Not even in that scene, that we just referenced,
right,
but like
that.
Just in general, she has said that like 6 times, which I get that it's like the I am Moana, you will board my boat, like that kind of thing. Like where it's just like a mantra at this point, which I totally get, but like, a lot of that shit with her and Luke and they're back and forth. Like he's going to train her, he's not. He's going to train her, he's not. Oh, you're dark, you're not. You're dark, you're not.
I feel like I'm being an
sucks.
asshole, but I'm completely aware that this is very a surface that it's just a little thing that tweaked me. I know that it's not like a rot in the movie. I don't mean to sound like a complete butthole.
This is just kind of a little bit of a non sequitur, but do Luke and Chewie not really like each other? Like, is Chewie just kind of that friend of a friend where like, okay.
That's 100% it.
Yeah, I was just wondering because like, I understand not really being keen on Rey, but then Chewie shows up. He's like, "Oh, what's up, dude? Yeah," and he just kind of blows him up, and he never
blows him up.
Yeah, Chewie gets exploded.
I love that part.
He just he tells him to like fuck off. He doesn't even hang out with him a little bit. He's more happy to see the goddamn robot than he is to see.
Yeah, I mean,
well, that makes sense though.
Yeah,
it's like I've never been able to understand a word that thing is saying. Everyone else seems to. I'm just fucking lost.
Right. I don't know, man.
I did see a meme that called him the Star Wars gorilla the other day, which was so funny.
Let's talk about Canto Bight. Let's talk about the casino.
Okay.
Because that's to me, there's a lot in this movie that feels like buying time for almost no reason.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
why? And it feels weird where it's like, I get that I understand when you're sitting down and you're starting a story and you want like what are cool, where are cool places I can bring these people, how are some ways we can crack open the universe a
I'm
little?
actually kind of I wonder why they didn't put more of that casino stuff in the trailer, because it really just seemed like it was a little bit of like a visual jerking off.
Because everything in that trailer was precisely about the lore of Star Wars, or like, you know, the
well, they lie directly in the trailer about the Rey looking at Kylo and saying, "I need someone to show me my place in all this."
Right.
And it's she's talking to Luke, and I kind of thought that was going to happen.
Yeah, of course. Like, this is not going to go
the way that you
think. And I was like, oh, there's no way. That's like a cut up line. No, that was a line in the that was a line in the movie.
But
which sucks. I think that's a stupid line. Oh, sorry.
So,
no,
yeah,
stop.
I
want to go back to the
casino.
casino.
Back
So
to the
I
casino.
understand. I do genuinely, because I know there's people who are probably this is going to be one of those hard ones to listen to. I'm sorry, and I know this because I know these are one of those ones where you want to jump in and be like, so I'm going to try to like catch myself. I understand
Please
the
send
function.
emails to reasonablebeef@gmail.com.
No, genuinely, I was thinking about this for this one. If you want to like say, because I know writing is sometimes hard. If you want to like record your voice or whatever, or record yourself, say this and send it to us because I want to hear this stuff. Because this is, I know
we'll do a follow up in a month.
I know we're
digest.
halfway through here, but I do want to say this. I very badly want to unabashedly love this. I want to hear what it was that I was like wrong about in the way that I was thinking about it. Make me fucking love it, because I want to so badly. So I will say, I understand the casino's purpose. It's acting as this I don't want to say like a metaphor, but it's an extension of the thing of like that the good guys and bad guys are kind of a made up thing, and that there's
sure, and like the grand wealth and splendor comes with a cost.
Exactly. Like I see, but even as I'm talking about this, I feel foggy. I can't put a point to it, and maybe this is my fault for not being like smart enough to look into certain things and what they mean, but like well, there's the thing where they
like why they went to the casino in the first, like why they included that, or
no,
she's watching those horse things around and she goes, look closer, and they're whipping the horses, right? And it's like, oh, there's children down there and there's child slaves. It's like, so when the Senate ruled like 5 months ago, weren't there child slaves on Jakku? Like, and like people living in all these like ridiculous things. Like, what is it about the First Order that's so bad beyond the fact that they're not nice?
Well, that's a whole bigger thing too. That I think when we'll wrap around to Kylo,
which DJ Benicio del Toro's character touches on. Like,
Right.
of what is the big difference here?
Right, he sells to the good guys and to the bad guys.
Right.
But which is this is again, there are moments, and maybe this is me, maybe this is the point, and I'm stupid. But that was another direct cake and eat it too, or hypocritical thing where he goes, good guys, bad guys, all the same word. Ah, look at this from the bad guys.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking
That's
about?
true.
You just said,
like, because we didn't see any kind of humanity from the dark side, and we didn't see any kind of darkness from the light side. It was just kind of reaffirmed, like when Kylo was like, "Oh, I'll be the number one bad guy now."
But I will say though that they, to the credit of the humanizing both sides of it, they do. The strongest part of this whole movie, what I love, I could say I love, is Rey and Kylo talking to each other,
Yes.
their
Yeah.
relationship to each other, their relationship
Dig
with
it.
the other people around. But like that said, I still don't understand Rey and Kylo.
Yeah.
I don't know
I don't know what.
either of them are exactly like.
I have no idea
feel
what
like I
Kylo Ren
understand.
wants.
You don't. I feel like Kylo is a little more. Well, I mean, he's still figuring himself out. Both the characters are kind of figuring themselves out, which is, it does kind of muddy the waters on what exactly they are. But you can kind of see like the direction, at least the direction Kylo
suppose.
Ren is going in.
Right, but figuring themselves out shouldn't be a character trait. Like it should. Like,
Yeah, well,
I don't
I'm not
know.
saying.
Well,
I'm
so-
not saying that it is.
Let me put
I'm
it to you
just
this
saying
way.
that.
What's Kylo Ren's ultimate goal? What does he want?
I think he just wants to be like the biggest dude. He wants to be the most powerful guy. I think he's now.
So then, where does
he's
this
now
conflict
like,
come from?
Well, I mean, he wasn't up until he killed Snoke. He was the Darth Vader. He was the muscle. He was the underling. Now he's like, okay, now he is the Emperor. He is at this point in time. That's what the role
Yeah.
he's now stepping into.
Well, so Tim H had that great thing where he said that's the subversion of the Darth Vader trope, where Darth Vader kills Palpatine at the end. It's like, yes, he kills Snoke. Oh, and then takes his place. Like,
yeah,
like
yeah.
Vader
It's
probably.
not,
should
it's
have done.
not
Where
killing him
she wanted to be
end
Luke.
his reign. He's killing him
Right.
to like,
She
beat
wanted
him.
to be the Luke to his Vader, but she
I-
turned out to do the opposite.
Sure.
Right. But who cares?
It's not even a who cares, because I think that's very cool.
Yeah, I like that.
I liked, even in the movie, when it happened, when he was like, the Supreme Leader is dead, is he?
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about me. I'm the new one now. I liked that part, but I found myself afterwards being like,
Why?
why did we do the whole, then why did for a minute you bring me on this? There was a lot of goose chases in the
Yes.
movie. And I think that it's like when you bring me down this path of Rey and Kylo, because they make a huge the Force theme shows up, they stare into each other's eyes, and then they fight a saber battle together.
Well, I mean,
and then
the
it's
whole
like,
thing was like that was all manipulation from Snoke. Like that relationship that they were building, there's a little bit of like a fog cast over it because it was, did they actually have this connection or was it just this fucking guy?
But I thought that the first time I saw it, I thought that they were saying across the board Snoke was the one who connected their minds, and that wasn't what. Apparently, I missed it even the second time. Amber explained this to me, but he says something along the lines of like the connection was going to happen, but he basically took down
Right.
Kylo's like.
He has the line where he
defenses.
says, like, you always said, your powers, as they rise in the dark, a light will come to meet you. And you were always destined to do battle.
Right.
And, yeah.
Which is another fucking thing. This whole, I get that her parents aren't anyone, but how do you tell me that it doesn't matter who you are, but our main girl is still the person who was in the whole universe destined
Right.
to fight Kylo Ren?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what do you get?
Do they directly say? I genuinely
No, but
don't
it-
remember.
in
But
that,
I
in that
assume-
line, he says, like, just because Kylo is so strong is why Rey exists, right?
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
essentially
I guess the implication is that the Force is always going to like balance itself.
And,
Like,
and that's what happened with
Yeah.
Anakin.
And
so like that's the explanation for Anakin, is that like he is a divine conception child, just pure child of the Force,
Right.
like of like the chosen one to balance the Force, and then ended up getting fucked up. of course.
I can't speak for the director of this movie, but something would tell me that he thinks that idea is a little bit dumb.
bullshit. Yeah,
is
no,
a little bit
it's-
stupid.
Right.
But
which is cool, but this is what I mean. And please explain genuinely, what am I missing about that? Because across the board, I always need these kinds of things to explain to me, because I mix things together when they should be very clearly separated. But it feels to me, if you're making this point of forget about the legacy of the Skywalkers and forget about the rules you think of what it means that you have to be the hero and you have to be blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, we're going smaller. But then you have a push in on Luke Skywalker, who has just become the best guy because he can do this cool magic trick. And he says, I will not be the last Jedi. And then Rey lifts every rock and is the best guy now.
Right.
And
Okay.
she was picked out of nothingness by
The Force.
Yeah.
to become the best person.
The rock lifter.
Right. To
Yeah.
become the best lifter of rocks.
Yeah.
As they say.
Because they can't be
Force-
touching the ground. That's bullshit.
Force is the balance between all of us, but here's the strongest one.
But does but this
most
that's what
balanced.
like does that not contradict this idea of there is no destiny or there is no
Right, but Star Wars.
or was it not
I don't
making this
think it's-
point?
Star
I
Wars
don't-
is all contradictions. A Sith only a Sith thinks in absolutes is an absolute. Like that's
which is
it's
cool.
Just the whole thing is
which is why the Jedi must end. Which is why this idea of what we think of the Jedi must end. Which is why
I think-
that's
I think
why,
it's-
but that's
it's just-
why I thought that they were going in that direction.
I think it's just the abandonment of like the tradition and the like maybe a little bit of like what we've been assuming is like the rule book of
the
whole
religion,
thing.
right? So
Yeah.
so Yoda
Yeah.
lights the tree on fire, but Rey took the fucking books. The books are in the Falcon.
So
She
they
still
exist.
She
So
has all the
exactly.
the-
so they always want to toe
I
the
think
line.
that Yoda just wanted to fuck with Luke. He just wanted to blow
I
up
know.
the Whisper Log and tell him to eat his shit. And then he
to
was
the
a
Whisper.
puppet. What do you guys think of Yoda being a puppet? Do you think-
great. It was awesome.
I'm into it.
Yeah,
It was awesome. I'm glad it came back.
I'm a little
It's
on the line with
distracting.
that.
It was amazing.
It's definitely distracting. Like you're not, you notice. You're
Yeah,
like, oh, that's
but
the
I
fucking
dug that a lot.
puppet. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that to me, that's the stuff that creates more cohesion. Because I reject
Some of the
this.
Porgs were puppets too.
Yeah. Oh, there was a lot of dude. I love. Can we talk about first? We're gonna find. By the way, I've been trying to interject the things I love, but I know I'm coming off with a lot of anger here. But,
Wait. Before we move on to this, I just want to touch on this last bit about Kylo
Destiny
and the
and-
Skywalkers.
Okay.
I still don't understand. I mean, I've said this a couple times, but I can't establish that I don't understand Kylo Ren's motivation behind like the darkness inside of him, or why he's so angry, or why he even flipped to Snoke in the first place. I truly don't get it. And I guess maybe that's the whole point. Like once you fall into the dark side, you just keep going, right?
And I
And it just
understand-
keeps going down this black
I don't
path.
think that
he
is-
doesn't even know
that
why.
is the point. I think that he makes the choice to keep going. I feel like there's moments where he could back off.
But
and
why? He
instead-
keeps talking about like kill the past, kill it, let it die, and build something new. Why? Where does this come from? Where and like is Snoke the guy that put this in your head? The guy that you just killed and you don't like? Like I bet I guess that's the
But is that-
hypocrisy of the dark side.
Right, I guess is that the point? Is that he's so hanging on to this anger for Luke and this life that happened to him?
Yeah. I suppose that's
Maybe
true.
a little bit. I think there's also the element of like he wanted to be Darth Vader and now he's killed the guy and taken his place and maybe now I think just the way that character seems to always sort of be pretending to be like bigger than he is. I think he's just kind of
Right.
like an angry dude that wants to be stronger. Like
feel
he's
that.
just got kind of a penchant for like I don't think it clashes with his personality at all. And I mean that's the thing is like. I
not the
don't
fact that it
feel
doesn't clash.
like it needs to necessarily be like given like a concrete reason. It just could be the guy's he wants power. It's a more or less
But
natural
and
thing.
it's the same
for-
thing with Rey, where Rey wants power. But I like the way that they dealt with that. I thought that was very, very. So there's supposedly some kind of dark streak inside of her, which we don't really see. But when he talks about how the powers of dark, which he's meditating on the Force, she went right for the darkness because she thought it had something that she wanted,
I
and
thought
that's why he doesn't want to treat
I found
her.
it weird that was like a physical hole.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it's all the dark hole. That's where you go.
That dark hole.
That was my point. Where she finds that dark hole.
I found myself in the dark hole.
I've been to the dark hole, sir. I found everything I want. All
Found
the
a bunch
treats
of-
in the world.
Lines of me's. They all snapped and it went.
Bag of 16 shillings. We'll eat for a week. She goes into the hole and finds it empty.
Is that what you think Rey sounds like? I never got that at all.
But no, she goes into the dark hole and she finds that it's this big empty cavern with no answers. And she's
it's a
just
mirror- it's
fallen
just
down.
herself.
She's literally, it is. And she's literally fallen down this hole that she pretty much can't get out of.
Cool.
Which is what the dark side is, where it promises all these answers and ends
But-
up being. And I think that's, well, but my point is like when people have the criticism of like, oh, where did her darkness go? That's where it went. That was the lesson. She learned it in that moment. That was what I thought when watching it anyway. Like, and of all the movies of all the things I shit on in this movie, that's something I'll give it credit
The
for.
most frustrating part of having conversations about movies that don't explain things well enough is that for the people who were able to get it or were able to look into it enough that they saw what was maybe intended or just saw what they wanted.
Right.
The argument is always that you shouldn't be spoon-fed things.
Sure.
And I almost almost always I hate that. I think that's why would no, you need to, if you're not being clear about what you're up to or what I'm supposed to be taking from something in enough of a way that it's like,
right.
Or at least, because I don't know, man. I would like to think that I don't watch movies like a complete dummy, so that if I know that it's up to something, or I know it's making a point, or it feels confident, not wobbly in the point that it's making, I tend to be like, oh,
it shifts the foreground of entertainment, where it's like you're entertained either by looking into the movie and seeing the imagery, you're trying to put the shit together, or by the pure just clash between the characters, because you understand what everyone's up to, and the entertainment comes from watching that happen, like watching how that plays out. I think this rides that line. Sorry.
I feel like everything doesn't necessarily need to be clearly explained if there's enough there to just kind of like infer certain things. I don't think it needs to be completely spelled out. I'm not advocating for
that's also not what I'm saying. That's what I mean. Is like
a lot of weird, like if you've ever seen strange Zack Snyder people, there was they'll be like, you'll say like, this didn't make sense in like Man of Steel, and they'll be like, well, you clearly didn't read this obscure issue of the Superman comics.
Right.
It's just like that, and it's like
what is wrong with you?
Why are
Those
you
are
bending
Trump
over
people.
backwards to like fill in this plot hole with like ancillary information? But I mean, like. Just something like, why does Kylo Ren want the things he wants? It's like, you can just kind of, you can fill that in with a bunch of...
But when you on purpose confuse me for a minute, then you because it does. It on purpose blurs the line, but then, so you're a little like, but wait, then what does he...
Right.
Want?
I mean,
you know what I like?
It does answer it. He's like, it's because he was mad that Luke tried to kill him. And I think maybe because they give me that, I'm like, oh, I don't buy that. Like, I don't accept that this rage came from that. So I think I'm out.
I'm not confused about his rage. I'm confused about who he, like, I can accept a character and just be like, that's because that's who they are. And I love that. I don't think you always need answers to like who they are. But when he kills Snoke and then kills all the guards and then says to Rey, I want to dismantle everything. I want to start an actually new everything. We got to let the Sith die, let the Jedi die, the Resistance, the First Order. I did notice in the second watch he doesn't mention the First Order. Though.
Yeah.
And says, join me. Like, but there's something, and it's maybe the on purpose hypocritical nature of Kylo Ren, but there's something about that just disconnects. It's like, wait, so you're...
I think you're conflating like challenging his beliefs with like muddying the water. I think that there's moments where he's asked the question, what type of character are you? And then he tends towards, these different choices. But yeah, I mean, I see that more as just rather than it being indecisive, more it just kind of challenging that character in a way that moves him. I don't know that, like, I'm not making excuses for it. That's just genuinely one of the things that
I don't know why I'm so confused.
Let me just say this while we're talking about them killing the guards. There was a series of like Target commercials with those characters in them, and I didn't think those characters were actually from the movie. I thought that they were just made for the Target commercials.
Because they look like...
Yeah, they look like Target masks. Yeah, they're just like plain red, and I was like, wait,
it was all subliminal Target.
It was pretty weird.
I will say, so I didn't love the fight scene, which I thought was cool choreographed. I think it was wonderfully choreographed. I do love the significance of her fighting with Kylo, although it was immediately invalidated.
It was powerful for me. Like I was into it. Right. I was there, man.
And I thought that the fight scene was cool, but at a certain point I realized I thought that like when the prequels were out, the big discussion we had was that lightsaber fights with faceless enemies is boring. And like this isn't interesting watching this big fight between two forces that don't have, there's no emotional connection there. So like when somebody has a lightsaber kunai that they're spinning around over their head, I'm like, yeah, this is cool and I want this action figure, but this is fucking stupid. Like when it boils right down to it, the reason they're fighting these guards and like the fact that this exists in this movie is entirely so that they have a big, nice fight scene. And I get that the guards are and especially since these are the Knights of Ren, presumably, that they set up as a big deal in the last movie.
No, I don't think those are Knights of Ren. I don't
really? So then why do we not talk about the Knights of Ren at any point in this movie? This supposedly powerful, like execution arm of the First Order never comes up.
I don't know if they the execution arm of the First Order.
Well, because they talk about that, they're like the hit squad, right? Where they?
No, I thought they were just Kylo's.
I don't know why you were looking at me there. I outright said I thought they were from a Target commercial. I'm the last person to fucking have the answer to that.
Knights of Targ.
They were Kylo's Wang gang.
Yeah,
like, they're just his boys,
his friends. popping around, whatever.
But I don't know. I can get because it's an escape. It's you killed the king and now his guards are angry about it.
Sure.
I will say it goes on a little long for it being just that kill the guards. You know what I mean? But
Right.
like, I don't know. There's woulda, coulda, shoulda. Would it have been better if Kylo did something crazy that killed all of the guards first, and then there was a Kylo
Right.
and Rey versus Snoke thing?
Yeah, lots to tell, not show as far as force powers.
I will say on the subject of like the action scenes and stuff like that, one of the things that this movie, and to a lesser extent the last couple have succeeded in doing, is like everything in Star Wars feels like it has a lot more weight now. Like, especially like with the original trilogy and kind of sort of the prequels too. Like all the weapons and all the lightsabers and stuff like that, they none of them felt meaty. They all felt like these little delicate things. Like the blasters were like these little dainty, like they almost give off the vibe like if you got shot directly in the face with one, you'd like get up a few minutes later,
Right.
like
ow, you know,
Stunned.
like.
Right.
So I will say, I mean, there are some kind of goofy moments. There's a point where they drop bombs in space that just fall with gravity.
Oh, yeah.
In space.
Didn't even
I
think
thought that
about
that was a little bizarre, but I feel like the blasters and the ships and the lightsabers, you know, swinging around. I felt like there was a lot of actual like weight and impact to all of it. Yeah. Which,
agreed. Which is why it's also like, you know, our main, you know, saber fight in the last one, we got Finn with it first when he's fighting off the stormtroopers. But that was more just sort of like, isn't this fun? But then the real one is Kylo versus Finn, and then Kylo versus Rey.
Right.
And that shit kicks, man. Like, you're like, oh my God, I remember watching it and you're like, this is scary. Those things look scary as hell. And then there was like, when then the main saber fight was, you know, Rey and Kylo versus the faceless red guys, like, it's like, is this really the same?
Sure.
Does this hold the same?
There's a little bit of
guess-
Kylo versus Luke before it was revealed that he was a hologram or whatever.
Which killed him.
Yeah.
He did for reasons.
Let's talk about the Luke hologram. I do, and I really do want to push back on myself here. I love so much about it. I would want.
Hey, he's so good. He's Star Wars.
I want to
He's like
go.
a beautiful woman.
I really, genuinely, I will say this up front. I've never the resist or the rebel stuff has never been my favorite Star Wars thing.
Yeah.
So that's what's interesting about this. Maybe a part of my bias pushback on this, like, you know, spit in the face of, you know, no
I
one
like
matters
this, the
thing.
Jedi and
I fucking
and
like
Skywalker
Luke
shit. That's what I'm
Skywalker. I
here
think he's
for.
cool as hell. I
Yeah.
want to see more about what he's up to. I did. I like that's what's funny too about this. We've all gotten into this fucking. Everybody's gotten their heads around that you have to subvert, like that you have to be a different thing or not do the Skywalker
Right.
story anymore. And I know it's yes, let's evolve, let's do better, let's make let's be interesting. But there is a part of my brain that goes, why?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Were we done? I mean, if we're done, cool. But like,
There's
don't.
more to tell in this story.
I liked that he got to die on his island and have
I
a big
liked that he
fight. Like,
died.
I didn't want
That
Kylo to
felt-
just cut him in
why?
half.
That felt
but
very
because
Star
once
Wars.
you pick a place that you want to die, you just want to, you know, bunker down, crawl into a hole, and fucking die. And he
But
got
why
to.
does that kill him? Why does him being like fucking putting himself somewhere with the Force? Why does that kill him?
Because then why wouldn't everybody just do that all the time? Why wouldn't he be always ghosting places and doing shit if he could just
then
do
why
it?
didn't he just go? Like, I don't understand why he had to go there. I guess. And
If
and
you
what
could
it
make
killed
a
him-
fucking hologram of yourself and just have it show up to events, would you ever go anywhere?
But why did it kill him?
Because, well, you know what's
And
funny?
he's
that
also more handsome. Like, he's younger when he's like,
Yeah, that's true.
I'm gonna get there in a second because that distracted me the whole time. But they do earlier. Kylo says, like, I think the first time Rey and Kylo have their talk, he goes, "You're not doing this. The effort would kill you." So they're implying that like huge force exertion like that
He's
would
a good Adam Driver. Past. Kill it.
no.
You would be bored.
don't do this. I want to pee. You know? Pretty good, right?
Don't do this. I want to pee. No, I'm gonna cauterize your dick hole shut.
I want to pee.
Call back.
What was I What was I fucking
We
getting at?
were talking about Luke dying.
Okay, him dying in that way at that time did feel very old school Star Wars to me, where it was a little bit like, you know, that's what's funny is like this is where that whole another hypocritical thing that bugs me about it is in the same breath I'm seeing people explain that the weirdness and the weird turns are comparable to Empire, or you know what the old even fucking Star Wars, the first one, being this weird thing that doesn't really explain everything and makes these weird choices. But I'm like, but didn't you also just say we need to stop, you know, doing the old Star Wars things?
Right.
And like, but like I'm just feeling
I'm not comparing it to the old Star Wars. I was
surprised.
Yeah, I just didn't. Yeah,
I don't think that my problem with it isn't the twists and turns and not explaining shit and like places that it goes, because I'm fine with that. Like I liked them. They're just being a bunch of aliens that we don't talk about in Star Wars, and
I love that shit.
Concepts such as the
shit.
Clone Wars, which was not explained.
Yes.
Like we talked.
There were not enough
that's
aliens
great.
in this movie, by the way.
Well, I mean, because
There were a lot of
only in
fucking
3
creatures.
places. Yeah, and well, how about the casino? Whatever. Let me finish my point here, which now I forgot what it was.
Cool. So when Luke shows up and he looks young, the whole scene, it was instant. I was instantly aware that his beard was not real and that his hair was different. And I was like, so he's not there, right? Or did she die already? And we're in this weird, like, we didn't see when she died and we're going to cut to her waking up. No, he's there. And then he walks out and I'm like, okay, they all see him.
Right.
But he's not fucking there, dude. Like that's not what he looks like.
I like that scene where he was like, everybody fucking unload on that guy.
Yeah, I like that too. But that I wanted him to just look the way that he looks for the rest of the movie, because for me, a lot of the weight of that entire exchange was gone for me, and it goes on for like 7-8 minutes before they do the reveal, and the whole time I was like, he's not there. I was waiting. I knew it. I knew he wasn't there. And then like they do
I did notice that his hair and beard were different colors, but I didn't immediately just assume he wasn't there.
I was like,
that's like a crazy person mentality.
Yeah.
If you just assume when someone changes their hair, they're a ghost.
Did you get a haircut? Are you a ghost?
Are you here? No, but it was because he looked exactly the same as he looked in the flashback scenes with Ben.
Yeah.
So I knew that they were doing something funky, and that's why when it was first with Leia, I thought, oh, this is how she remembers him.
Right.
I don't know. Whatever. So. They also, something I wanted to point out, I noticed the second time, was that Kylo and Luke have a standoff, right? Kylo does his fucking, oh yeah! He does his pose, shoots out the saber. Luke does his like, he's trying to not fart pose.
Yeah.
And then it cuts away for like 4 minutes to other shit. Maybe it's like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it comes back. They're still there. They're still they're still waiting to attack each other.
There's
Like,
a couple
doing?
of those where we spend a little bit too long away from a storyline, and then it's like, wait, you're just doing that now? Like we were just okay.
Let me. All right, let's walk out this door. 20 minutes later,
because I think the Finn thing was what I thought about it, because he's like, oh, I need to go find Rey. Other shit happens. We see Rey for like 30 minutes, and then it's back to him getting ready to go leave to find Rey.
I couldn't remember I didn't know if I wanted to bring my Walkman. Like, am I even going to use it? I don't know if I'm going to have enough time to actually even listen to music.
So positives.
Maybe he was figuring out where the thing was.
He was trying to find where the pot
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
I can look like, though, when it's bigger like that, I can.
This room? Nope. This room? Nope. All of them.
But you know what? I think if this movie, if the Resistance stuff was tighter, and you could maybe boil down to that, if the misunderstanding between Poe and Holdo wasn't there, or if that made more sense for why someone didn't know something, I maybe would, on a whole, have loved the movie a lot more. And that's so weird, but it's like every time they cut to the fucking Resistance
it's a
ship,
drag.
I was like genuine, like I really felt. I don't.
The movie down. However, Holdo's sacrifice, probably one of the coolest visuals.
That was cool as hell.
Yeah, that was
dope
pretty
in
neat.
the movie.
That was dope. That was so cool.
Yeah.
And you're almost like, why don't people do that all the time?
Yeah, like, it's super anime. The way it's
Yeah.
anime, where it gets silent and then
Yeah.
silence.
I thought
and
it was pretty
splits.
cool,
I'm like,
though.
oh, it's sick.
We can't not talk about this. What did you guys think of Carrie Fisher's Superman Jesus moment?
It was great.
I liked it. I know that one's
loved it, actually.
That one's getting
really
a lot of
cool.
flack, but then this is where we're weird, where we're like...
Well, I think it's cool because
I think the idea...
Leia is a Force witch. She is a fucking god. Like, no, she's the child of Anakin Solo or Anakin Skywalker, whatever.
Whoa.
She is just as strong as Luke with the Force. So it's like the fact that we get to see that where it's like, oh no, you actually can't even kill me.
I just think visually it looked a little funky.
I agree with you that the second watch, I was like, okay, I like what we're up to here, but you maybe could have picked a little bit of a less silly shot.
Maybe I'm just really feeling what it was. And in the moment, I was like, this is what I wanted.
And that's another Star Warsy thing where I'm like, this is a weird thing that is now a thing. Where I'm like, this is surprising me, but... Yeah, that just happened.
Yeah.
That happened in Star Wars.
And the moment they killed her, I was actually really psyched about it because there was not a lot of fanfare. And I'm like, oh, this is how they get rid of Carrie Fisher. Like, this is how they write her out of the thing. And the fact that he doesn't pull the trigger, but she still dies anyway. You know, I'm like, oh my God.
That she didn't die? By the way, is that...
I don't know. I think he had an idea. But like, there's a deep significance to that where it's still his actions that got her killed, but for whatever reason, he feels like he didn't pull the trigger. You know what I mean? Like, what difference does it make to him if he pushes that button or not if she still is going to die anyway? You know, I thought that was a powerful moment. And then when they brought her back, I was like, this is fucking sick. But also I was like...
I sort of thought, especially once they were paying attention to her in space, like floating around, I was like, is he going to fucking... swing by and like
run her over just to be like no I gotta do both of them. How
do you even run someone over in space? He like backs
I don't
over
know
her and then
they
drops downward.
Bombs they phically dropped bombs. You can run over a person.
I thought he was gonna swing by and like grab her. Hang on, ma. Yeehaw. I've been so sick of using that other voice. Finally I could be myself. Sorry. Was that in bad taste?
I will say that
I was just trying to think of a true opposite to dark Kylo Ren voice.
There was one moment that like weirdly transcended film where
Leia reached out and said, Lyle, my best friend, come with me into the movies. And then I walked into the movie.
Boy, howdy. No, they're fucking, they're having that conversation and Luke says something to Leia like, people are never really gone, and it's just like the significance of like that being like her final role and stuff like that's like Johnny Cash hurt level shit. For
I
like
feel
Star Wars
that being like
fans,
the last big thing she says. Why did the dice disappear?
What were the dice?
I don't know. No, I think they were hanging in the fountain. They were in the fountain. Yes, the Millennium Fountain.
I guess because Luke brought them and they were never really there. Well, but why did they disappear? They disappeared after he disappeared.
That I don't get.
Were
that
they
one was weird.
I think they were probably from an older Star, and I just don't. It's like a very small detail.
I think that they hang in the Millennium Falcon. They were they were like a thing of Han Solo's. They're probably in the first movie somewhere. Or something.
I thought they were.
I don't fucking know.
And why didn't she bring them with her? Why did she just leave them on the fucking floor? Why wasn't there a scene later after they got out where she's holding the dice sentimentally? They just disappeared. She goes, "What the fuck?"
Why did they disappear? Like what?
Because Luke brought them.
Oh, he brought them to her.
Yeah.
Well, right.
Like, no wonder he was like so fucking distracted. He's like standing there, and all of a sudden he just freezes. He's playing at like 6 frames per second, and Kyle's like, "What the fuck?" Sorry, I was thinking about this dice. I left that there. I had to make sure that
is funny. If he was buffering, like as they were coming through, that is really funny.
I forgot to do the thing where then when I get far enough away from the dice are no longer rendered.
The dice disappear. The dice disappear. Cuts back to Luke. Like, I'm not giving you these dice. I love it. It's fucking cool.
Yeah, all right. What else do we got? I love it. I mean, I don't know.
It was fine.
It was clunk, and maybe it's the length. Something
long,
was a clunk.
It needs 30 minutes cut out of it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I wish I wasn't so confused. I feel stupid.
I think it's better than the last one by virtue of being like a movie by a director with like a vision that wanted to like do something.
Let's fight about JJ because I
like JJ.
I like JJ too.
I don't mind JJ.
This is the whole thing too of like when we defend a movie that maybe didn't get good reviews, but it knew what it was doing, and it's like I think maybe if you don't like Mystery Box, if you don't like, that was what he was hired to do. He was hired to come in and we're going to set up a button. That's another reason why this frustrated me in a lot of ways. He was hired to come in, create a spell, weave a fucking spell you were supposed to fall under. We're back in Star Wars, baby.
Right.
There's all these corners we
New
haven't quite seen. There's new questions. Who's Rey? Who the fuck is Snoke? Is he big?
Right.
Like, you know,
You didn't know actually to
Snoke
scale
could
how
be very
what,
big.
what size
Snoke might
that
be
fucking
very
hologram
big. He might
was.
be very small. You have no idea. You could show up. He could
Yeah,
be.
what if Snoke was like 2 feet tall? He was like a little guy.
Yeah, that would
Honestly,
be the big.
the
What a great
top two
reveal.
questions walking out of The Force Awakens. Who is Rey?
And
How tall is Snoke?
Snoke big. But that was the point of that one. It was to tee up. We're going to answer some questions, just not right now. But it does do a good enough job of being an adventure in its own movie. That's why I don't know. It's so weird to me when people think that one didn't do anything or that it didn't have a vision. Because I would say
they
it
built
had
they built a Death Star.
That's annoying, and that annoys me.
Yeah, but there was also a run, like a run where he had to shoot a bullet into the perfect circle in this one, right? Where like they were setting
Was
that
there?
up, but then they subverted it because Rose saved him. Like at the very last, when Finn is about to.
There's a difference between shooting a bullet into a hole and like kamikaze and ending your own life.
Let me put it to you this way. Okay, now they're holed up in a bunker on an ice planet as the Empire is approaching.
Similar-ish.
Interesting. It's pretty much the exact same setup as
Darth
Hoth.
Vader wasn't in that scene, was he? In the snow planet? Like,
Doesn't he show
No.
up at the end?
I don't know.
Isn't he there at the end on Hoth?
He might be.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Because I think
I
him and
haven't
Luke
seen it
have
in
the
years.
whatever.
Him and Luke do the kiss. They kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Well, something I really dug about this one is that they got rid of regular Luke. So like now it's just bigger
Right,
Luke.
we can talk about bigger.
All bigger. It's just bigger Luke left in the universe.
Have we talked about bigger Luke already? Didn't we on Beef?
We probably
what
have.
the fuck is bigger Luke? bring me into the
you
mythology
don't-
of
you
bigger
don't know?
Luke.
Well, Nick introduced a few months ago. He just as we just did, casually mentioned bigger Luke. Apparently, so as the how many years out are we? 40 from
something like
original
that,
Star
yeah.
Wars. People lost their minds in the course of that time.
Yes.
So people started to look back on the old Star Wars movies, and there's a theory because in some scenes it looks as if, not confirmed,
it's-
but it looks as if sometimes Luke is shorter than Han Solo, and other times he is taller than Han Solo. So rightfully so, I know what you're thinking, and it's what everyone else thought. There's another Luke who's bigger. You know? And so there's now
existing concurrently
Right.
with Luke, regular Luke, which is known as Luke Prime.
right, and you never knew it in scene to scene. Is it bigger Luke or is it Luke? And
Well,
bigger Luke
and
is
the issue with the new ones, when you kill Han is the only unit of measurement for Luke.
You don't know how big Luke is.
This
anymore.
could be
So
big
you
Luke.
don't know if it's big. What if the hologram was bigger Luke? What if maybe they're
What if he was a hologram the whole time?
yeah, let's write our own Star Wars theory that's fucking tragically like
he double
extremely
hologrammed
wrong.
himself.
Yeah.
He was on another island hologramming
Bigger Luke, and they're all it's like a Russian doll of Luke's.
If
They're all
he
like
shows up again and he was like, "Didn't you notice? I've always sometimes been bigger. There's two of me."
There's a small moon somewhere where there's just like a gigantic creature. It's just the biggest Luke.
biggest Luke. Yeah, man.
Biggest Luke.
I am biggest Luke.
The largest Luke. You should have gone larger Luke.
Big Rum.
Yeah,
Man.
we'll workshop it.
We'll talk about bigger Luke in a bit. Yeah, I mean, so I think the thing I can plant my feet firmly on in saying that like I love and what will make me in a while, because even the second watch I was like, oh, I don't know when the next time I'm going to want to watch this is, because it feels long, because especially the Resistance stuff feels like it's dragging for
Longer
most of the
Luke,
movie.
sorry.
Longer Luke, right?
Well, don't get crazy. They retcon that stuff. All the expanded universe stuff isn't canon
no more,
anymore.
longer Luke isn't there anymore. But Luke's story, and this is why it's like I understand that I'm being hypocritical in saying that I think the movie is contradicting itself and we have to get rid of the Jedi, but the Jedi actually do have an importance, because I love that meta. I really do genuinely. I think that's a very cool like thing for a Star Wars movie to be talking about. Do we need Luke Skywalker in this?
Right.
And they're kind of, the answer is sort of, I mean, yeah, like a little,
Yeah.
right? Like we kind of do need him, right? He's got to do the cool thing at the end because he's fucking him. But ultimately we're like, but we've had our time with him and we're going to move on. I love that.
Right.
I think that's really cool. And if someone looks at me in the eyes and says, yeah, dummy, that's the whole movie. So that if you got that, that's what we're up to, I will feel blessed.
Right. and understand that, yes.
But somehow, because there's so many things going on, all of that gets lost
in the shuffle, 100%.
in other stuff. So I don't know. But Luke's, what I was getting at was Luke's story in this movie. It's Luke's movie, I would argue. He's the one who this is about. He goes through the change, really. I don't know.
He goes through the change.
Becomes big.
He
sheds his
goes
skin.
in his cocoon for 40 years, and you come out 3 inches taller, like slightly.
Luke, did anything happen?
I think that this movie left off in a very good place. I think it left the characters all in very interesting places with some direction.
Holding rocks.
And holding rocks, lifting rocks, moving them so the snow foxes can see.
That is very funny because they talk about, like, I thought you guys, like, lifted rocks and, like, fought.
Yeah.
And then she goes, lifted rocks. That's very funny.
I don't know. I actually realized in the second one, I don't know if she said lifting rocks.
I think that because this one is so polarizing, I think unfortunately J.J. Abrams is going to just tie it off in a nice neat bow as he does in the third one, and everyone's going to go, J.J. Abrams redeemed Star Wars, when really,
hope not,
really, like, they brought in this other guy and he basically made all the hard choices, and now it's pretty, you know.
But here's the thing. Are these and maybe this is another thing I would fight with people about.
Yeah, are these written by a human being or a company of boardrooms?
That alone, I know they're all talking.
Yeah,
I know for a fact they all talk to each other. Like,
I'm sure a movie by committee.
Fair.
Sure, yeah.
I project myself into those rooms.
I'm in that room, yeah.
And they're like, face me, and then they stick their fingers through my chest, and I'm like, got you again.
Do you look younger?
I look way younger, yeah. I'm like 3. It's scary.
Smaller, dumb.
Very. But what was it? What I was getting at? What were the things that were so shocking?
Right. It's like you just hate it because it's different.
I don't mean that. I don't mean that
us.
so aggressively.
Fuck you, Jack.
Well, he didn't say that to us. He made a tweet, and
tweet.
He wasn't really even talking about or to us.
He was saying that was the subtext. He said Tim and Dom.
No.
I know you haven't seen the movie yet.
We aren't
fuck
the people. He's right though that we aren't the people who were doing the thing where it's like just there's always going to be something wrong with it.
This isn't Star Wars. It's like no, it's definitely Star Wars.
Star Wars. Yeah, they're doing it. But what I was saying was like, you know, it's getting a lot of credit and hate for this treatment that feels so weird, but I'm gonna be honest, like, I don't really understand what was so
groundbreaking,
weird or whatever. Like, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
Luke, they put Luke on the like
that it's weird, but there were a lot of kind of risky choices.
Like, well, genuinely.
Making Luke disillusioned and unwilling to train Rey, that was pretty risky. Killing off.
But that really
the old master who doesn't want to be
the whole setup he's already been on this island
for a
for
character
30 years.
like Luke Skywalker. Like that's a little bit risky to make him such kind of a like dark and cynical character.
He's dark and cynical in the last movie. Aside from saving his father, he's dark as fuck. He just straight up kills people when he shows up. He's very dark.
I mean, I'm basically just listing off the things that I've seen people bitch about.
No, please.
Okay,
Yeah,
so sorry.
Making Luke that killing Snoke, in the middle of it. The Rey's parents thing. I realize that's kind of more like fixing a mistake that they chose to make in the first place, but I feel like a lot of people did genuinely want it to be like Luke Skywalker or Obi-Wan or something like that.
I think I'm just a chronically confused person because you're saying these things, I like them.
Killing Luke Skywalker, I think in and of itself is a bit of a risk.
I mean,
I don't think because we're kind of saying the same thing.
Do we have time to discuss CGI humans and the ethics thereof?
75 minutes. Well, whatever. We'll keep going. Well, sorry.
Can I quickly just talk about CGI humans? So I had a theory that if Mark Hamill died in production of a Star Wars movie that he was in, that they were going to CGI Mark Hamill, and then at the point when they had a CGI Mark Hamill and they had made it, if that would have happened, I think Luke would have been in every subsequent Star Wars movie as CGI Mark Hamill.
It's extremely funny to me.
I think that is eventually going to happen with a certain actor. My money was like kind of 50-50 on Mark Hamill, but now that he's gone from Star Wars, I think it's going to be Hugh Jackman.
But I do think you're going to feel a human resistance where these people who have reverence for these characters and for these worlds are going to, their instinct is going to be, let's put them in the thing enough so that we can get them out.
That's true. Yeah,
know what I mean?
I think that
It makes me.
I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is another contender because they can put him in the Iron Man suit for like 90% of it and not.
That'd be cool. And he comes in and does
because
VO.
I've seen them kicking around the sort of proof of concept with that with the last Star Wars first of all, and then they've been de-aging actors for scenes.
Yeah, that one's cool.
I think the
de-aging
last
looks
Pirates
great.
of the Caribbean movie had like a young Johnny Depp that they de-aged, and the last the Logan movie, the bad guy in Logan is a CGI Hugh Jackman, like a young Hugh Jackman CGI'd onto another buff man. I think that there's gonna be a CGI person, and now that Luke is gone, they're not going to
fucking
CGI.
Tarkin.
He could come back as a Force ghost and just be CGI as a Force
It makes
ghost.
me
and
laugh that, like you said, if Mark Hamill dies in production of a Star Wars movie that he's in, like you have to add that caveat. Like if they're making
because
one
they're
that
not bringing
in
back
and he
Carrie
dies,
Fisher.
No,
right?
it's
because she wrapped filming.
The joke being that if he's not in one and they're making it and he dies during it, it's like, fuck, we gotta bring Luke into this. And he's just kind of standing around in the background. It's like, well, we signed a contract. If he's dead, he's got to be
CGI
here.
Mark Hamill for the press junket.
I'm still alive. It's like, is he okay?
I mean, CGI Mark Hamill would probably run the press junket a little bit better than regular Mark Hamill, who just kind of goes in and is like, oh, I'm sure the fans will like it. Or I thought I was going to be in it more. I liked everyone's part but mine.
He did have an interesting attitude about, like, it seems all in good fun. I don't think he's like miserable.
No, I don't think I think he's making too much money to be miserable.
Yeah.
Well, he's always kind of been like a wry kind of guy.
Yeah, and he has a little bit of an interesting attitude, but he loves it, man. I mean, he loves
I think
Star
because
Wars.
he loves it though, he doesn't really like that Luke isn't given as much time in the sun as he would like.
I don't know. I think we've hit the horseshoe here where I think he spent enough time hearing about it and being like, fuck Star Wars. Where now he's like, okay, I kind of get it. I think he's old enough to have a love for it again. And not have it.
And they killed him. They took it away from him.
And also because
they wrenched it out of his hands.
Like, I think Luke Skywalker is a huge character. Mm-hmm. I don't necessally know how many people. And Mark
but
Hamill
is he a slightly huger character?
Is the question. No, but like, I think that Mark Hamill as a person is much more famous for voice acting than he is for being the people who like Mark Hamill, the voice actor, not Mark Hamill, the Luke Skywalker. People that like Luke Skywalker, people who like Star Wars obviously love Luke Skywalker, but Mark Hamill isn't like one of their favorite actors. They just know Mark Hamill as the guy who plays Luke Skywalker.
Like dweebs, if you're talking about like normal human beings,
normal human beings.
Are you talking?
Mark Hamill fans?
How are we quantifying a Mark Hamill fan? Is
somebody who says I love Mark Hamill?
So someone
here's the work of his that I love. It's typically not like I love him as Luke Skywalker. I love him as the Joker.
Does every person who says that they like Mark Hamill count as a Mark Hamill fan?
No.
Or does a person who likes Mark Hamill more count as more of a Mark Hamill fan? Are we measuring by quantity of love?
We're measuring by Hans. It is by Han.
All right. So how many Hans?
I love 6 Hans worth of Luke.
Okay. So it is by a Han measurement of love.
Han 0.2.
Yeah. Okay.
This is like some Bitcoin shit. Like I'll give you 4.5 Akbars.
We're talking about crypto Hans for how much you love Mark Hamill.
People are weird about Akbar just dying in a blink of an eye, and that one's weird to me.
Really?
It's like, what do you mean?
Akbar's, did he
the outrage?
I don't
the outrage.
I don't remember him fucking at all, other than like the meme. Like when the meme cropped up, I was like, who? What? And
These
it's
are
like, oh yeah,
characters that did not have names until the toy was made. Like
Admiral Akbar, I think did.
All right,
but,
I love Kylo and Ren's relationship.
Kylo and Ren.
Shit, I did it again.
Yeah,
Ren and
I love
Stimpy.
Ren and Stimpy.
Kylo, you idiot!
You make me so angry.
I do like. It's funny.
Ray Stimpy. Kylo Ren and Ray Stimpy. Sorry, please.
As you were listing all the things that it did that people are perceiving as the big risky things, it's funny. Those are not even a little bit what I had any issues with. Like, those are all the things I was like, yeah, I mean, cool. Yeah. That's what makes it like we're telling the rest of this. This is more what happens in the more story of it. That's what I said out loud in the theater. Yeah, yes, this is more what happens in the more story.
But
of
it kind of does. It kind of is like where the first one sets up these, these characters are, and this one's here's their further adventures.
Those things are going to be what affects the series moving forward, not like the auteur color grading on the fucking
right.
Like,
That's true.
But you know what's funny is like I don't. You know, they kill Han, like, you know, you hear them talk about killing Han in the first one that comes back, but that dipped the toe in the water of it's like, all right, we're gonna start losing these people. So it's like when you kill Luke at the end of the movie where Luke is now the Han, I'm like,
I think anybody though that even remotely knows Harrison Ford and Star Wars knew that he signed that into his contract.
Yeah, well, that's the joke. It's like, not only will I die, I will fall into the core of a planet, and the planet will explode. I
ain't coming back.
Unmistakably dead.
You know what? I like the implication that Han has been haunting Kylo, though, and we don't see that.
Yeah,
I love that.
That is cool. That is cool. If you strike me down in
that
anger,
shit.
I will find. And, but then that also clarifies what Obi-Wan meant, where he says, like, if you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you can imagine, which is to say,
right.
I will haunt you, fucking asshole.
But that's also him helping Luke,
right?
Guiding Luke.
I'm glad when he said that line, it wasn't, if you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you could ever imagine. Because why would he know that? Like, he didn't hear Obi-Wan say that.
And then it pulls back a little bit. Obi-Wan's ghost is
he could fucking.
No, you should say this would be really sick because I did
cool
this.
Thing.
Okay, it was like 40 years ago, but
this made me very aware that this is just like a separate thought that Rey's name is Rey, where it's like, I know it's really cool, R-E-Y, but I just keep hearing it as just a dude's name. Like when Snoke is talking, he's like, the famous Steve.
Rey, tell me, are your pizzas delicious? Ray's Pizza. Come on, guys.
Is Ray's Pizza
like
a thing?
Is that a thing?
It's a big thing. Yeah.
Papa John, welcome.
I am Lord Domino.
Mr. Hut.
Pizza.
Well, I guess it's...
Yeah, sure.
It all comes back around, man. It's all connected.
Pretty good. Loved all that. I love all those decisions. I think they all made perfect sense. You know, I would take issue with anyone who was surprised that Luke was sad at the end, like, or dark in this movie. It's like, and he literally says in the movie, "Did you think that I came to the most unfindable place in the universe for no reason?" It's like, you're right. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, I liked that choice too. I just saw people going, they ruined Star Wars. They besmirched the great name of, like, especially the scene where he's gonna kill Kylo Ren.
Right.
That was a little like weird and
but
dark.
that was
a
perspective problem. That was like
it was
from Kylo's.
It was a perspective problem, but it also wasn't because it was like a actual thought that crossed the character's mind. It wasn't like, oh, whoopsie, I tripped and my lightsaber fell out. And
but this is that thing, and it's there's so many instances in this where it's the rom-com thing. It's Poe and Holdo not talking to each other.
Right.
Fucking call him and say, no, you weren't with the girl. It's my sister, and then it's all fixed.
Misunderstanding from like communication is the most frustrating.
It's so frustrating to watch, and in the one where it's like Luke talking about him having that thought of killing. He literally, like, because here's the fact of the matter.
I don't feel like that even if Kylo Ren woke up and saw that and Luke went, I just was thinking about it for a minute. I don't think
No. I'm not talking about Kylo's.
Kind of kill you.
Kylo's reaction makes perfect sense to me. I understand Luke made a mistake and he should pay for it. There's consequences. I think that's great. But in people being like, how could you with Luke? Why would he ever? I'll tell you why he could ever. Because he lived in a galaxy his whole life where the most powerful magic sorcerer in a black cape and a black mask ruled over the galaxy, and then he ended up being related to him.
Yeah.
And he thinks it's about to happen again.
He's been through some shit.
He sees, this other person related to me is going to be the worst bad guy.
And also, Luke's whole arc is fuck Star Wars. That's essentially what it is. Where when he throws that thing behind him, he's like, I made all these mistakes because I thought I was Luke Skywalker, #1 guy in the galaxy, the best legend. I am Star Wars. Fuck Star Wars.
I love because I was Luke Skywalker.
So when Luke shows up at the end and finally does his hero thing, that follows through on the line of like, here's Star Wars again. Like yes, fuck Star Wars, but also Star Wars means a lot to a lot of people, and that is powerful.
Okay, that's how I have to. Okay, we're getting to
gently
me loving
fuck
this.
Star
Really?
Wars.
We're getting there. Hold on, we're getting there. This is almost me getting it. Okay, hold on. Okay, great. So okay, cool.
Luke is Star Wars.
Wait,
perfect sense.
You're telling me having your cake and eating it too is good? That's because I think I'm not joking here. You're right. Luke is. That's exactly the point. He's rejecting Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then, but the
Being
answer,
Star Wars.
but the answer to that is, but come on, it's Star Wars.
Right.
So be a little Star Wars,
But
not too much of the Star Wars.
But,
You got to
but-
get away a little bit from that.
Just be Star Wars on your own time. I'm fucking out of here.
Yeah, I'm out of here. Yeah, I'm gonna be a little Star Wars for a minute, and then I'm gonna turn into a robe. Wait, do you think he turned into the robe, Dom?
I mean-
He disappeared and the robe was there.
Okay. Oh fuck, we didn't even. We're gonna have to do a follow up to this.
For what? What did we miss?
Well, I mean, we just got to pack it in. But like, I wanted to talk about the fucking puppets. I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, we're gonna do more of these.
Yeah. Well,
You're coming back.
Okay.
bastard.
We'll
Maybe
we'll
I don't
figure
know.
it out.
Whatever. The puppets were cool. I like porgs. I thought it was mean.
I like
that
the porgs,
that he
too.
ate the porg.
That was a bummer.
I did not like that scene at all. I thought that was very cruel and misplaced joke.
I very much liked that he ate the porg. Just
I mean-
because I was kind of like when I saw like the trailers with the porgs in it.
love
I'm
them.
like, you know that a boardroom designed those, right?
from the
They're like,
moment
they're
I
gonna
saw
be a seal bird, and
Yeah, They designed them, and it's my duty to protect them, and I will follow through.
I love that the porgs are almost dying the whole. Like they exist to be in danger,
Right.
In this movie,
Just
like
get knocked away.
The
It's very
first
funny,
thing
yeah.
of them almost opening, like the one is almost turning the lightsaber on, and and the other one's face is at
Right,
the
yeah.
end. You're like, this is like that's funny to
I
me.
like
That's
that
a
a
funny
lot,
joke.
yeah.
Yeah, well, because they aren't just like cute; they die.
Well,
and that's-
what they want. I think what they want the audience to do is not only do they want them to buy toys, but they want to kind of plant that like Sarah McLachlan in the arms of an angel bullshit in their head. Like if you don't buy the toy of this thing, they're prone to death.
Yeah, we kill porg every minute.
I really also like. I want to say more things I love. I do like Rey's. It happens fucking quickly, but I really do like Rey's realization of the Force and the different things in her of like I see peace and violence, and it's like it goes from the nest of the porgs to like an empty porg nest in the ocean, and they're getting fucked up by the rocks.
bigger Luke.
When you think
sorry.
about it, rocks were the main bad guy in this whole movie.
That's true.
There's a lot of rocks mess a lot of stuff up.
Rocks
Yeah.
keep fucking shit up.
Rocks fell on Luke.
They're the natural predator of the Jedi, or the enemy of the Jedi. That's why they lift them and throw them all the time. Okay, we gotta pack this in.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we're gonna play 2 games before we go. This is what we do.
All right, yeah.
Because fuck final thoughts. Do you have a phone on you?
Yes.
Bust out your phone because this is a predictive text movie review. All right, we'll kick it off. Dom and then Lyle, then I'll do.
So, iPhone, you were there in the movie. You saw it with me twice. What did you think about Star Wars The Last Jedi? My phone says, Star Wars The Last Jedi was the way you got to see the Lord of the Rings. And the holy, holy Lord, God, yes, you are not the one who has a heart.
Wow. That's way better than mine.
What's yours?
As soon as Lord came up, I was like, no.
Mine thought, I don't talk about the Lord nearly as much. Mine says, Star Wars The Last Jedi is a way to make you feel like you're going on the road right away from the world and you don't know what you're doing.
I mean,
That one's like weirdly
not
existential.
entirely wrong. It's
True, that's
I
good.
just feel like I'm going away from the road and I don't know what I'm doing. Phone. This one says, Star Wars The Last Jedi, need a new one for me and Nick. And I agree with that. I think I could do with a new
you
one.
and Nick, you guys,
let's take this one back. We'll
you
just get a
guys
new
weren't
one.
thrilled, right?
Yeah.
That
Let's
makes
go
a lot
get
of
a new one.
sense.
Okay, and for our final game, this is called the Three-Headed Critic.
I get
This is in which it goes in a circle. We all say one word until it's a complete thought about the movie. So it'll start with Dom, me, Lyle, Dom.
Jedi
Mind,
Tricks
weren't
useful,
when
the
movie,
ended.
my
life.
I like that one.
Dude, you see the new Star Wars? It killed me. Oh, Jesus.
All right,
Thank you.
Did we go?
Yeah, I think that's good.
It.
That was
Yeah.
fun. I had a fun time.
was good.
Thank you, Lyle,
What
for
a
joining
nightmare.
us
Yeah,
for
absolutely,
this
man.
extremely long beef.
Yeah.
Bigger
It was-
beef,
it was
one
pretty-
might
yeah.
say. Do you have anything to plug? Anything cool coming out?
Well, fuck, not exactly coming out, but you could just check me out on everything. I'm Lyle McDouchebag on everything until I'm not.
Sick.
Right on.
Damn. And anything cool, Dom?
I have this song. It'll be out by now. The song I did with Dodie, the Christmas song.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Check it out. It's called Our Season.
Oh, and listen to Reasonable Beef. This episode should be out. Oh fuck! Wait a minute. Okay.
I didn't know what you were doing at all.
It was a bit. Hey, if you like what you hear here, please go to www.patreon.com/reasonablebeef and give what you can. Any amount of money gives you access to the bonus beef episodes. There's a new one coming. It's coming soon. I promise. Thank you very much, Lyle. Thank you very much, Dom.
You're welcome.
And God bless Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
May the porgs be with you.
Shut up.
That must be said.
Yeah.
All over the place, right? Or are you the first?
I hope so. Nobody listens to this podcast, so nobody will ever know.
Question, rep inside Enigma. Get inside a slave one, find your home and signal. From Endor to Hearth, Ripley to Spock. I'll find what you want, but there's gonna be a cost. Say my name is Boba Fett. I know my shit is tight. Start acting right, yo, buzzing a carbonite. Got telescopic sight, flamethrowers on my wrist. You still don't get the jet. Spike boots to make the kick. Targets to make the hit. You think I give a shit? Your mom